Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Tom and welcome back to a brand new video, and this is episode number 12 of Schumacher Returns, and we are here for the German Grand Prix at the Hockenheimring, and one of the best tracks on the actual calendar itself, and a track that overall I'm really happy is back on the actual real life calendar in 2016 also, because it's a track that's just great for racing, and overall as a driver, if you hook this track up in one lap, it's an absolutely fantastic track to drive, and just a fantastic venue with such traditional sporting history, you could say. So here we are at the Hockenheim, like I said, Michael Schumacher's home race, and he's going to be keen to impress here and get a semi-decent result in qualifying, which is where we're at right now. And our one and only qualifying lap begins right now as we make our way into the first corner, down one gear for the first apex there. Take it nice and easy, don't run out too wide onto the curb as it can really send you wide and compromise your lap time. Now into turn 2, down to second gear, make sure you kiss the apex and sacrifice the first part of the exit here to get a much better run through 3, and then power down this back straight here. And then this is a place where the engine power really comes into play, and similar to the last race at Silverstone, this Ferrari is absolutely stupidly quick in a straight line, and we've got so much more straight line speed as we now prepare ourselves for the breaking point of turn number 5, I believe, the hairpin, or turn 6. Down to second gear, you could use first, I personally prefer second, as we now get a pretty decent exit there, and now making our way into turn number 7, little flat out right hand kink here into the Mercedes-Benz grandstand of turn number 8. Down to second gear for the apex here, make sure you take it nice and easy, don't run out too wide, gun the power as soon as you can for turns 9, which is a very tricky right hander here. Make sure you don't run out too wide once again, because that curb can screw you over. And now into the stadium section, turn number 10, try and carry in as much speed as possible here. Obviously we load up with race fuel, so it's not ideal, but we're still pretty quick through there as we now make our way through the turn number 11, the left hander, second gear. Make sure you get good exit through turns 12 and 13, a little left right chicane into the final 2 corners now, down to third gear. Make sure you get as wide as you can here, and then flick it back across for the final corner, and then gun the power as soon as you can, and we're going to run up to the line. And where is this lap going to put Michael Schumacher? Is going to be P7, so a pretty decent lap there, only 7 tenths off the pace from Montoya. So overall to set qualifying, that was a pretty solid lap there from Michael Schumacher in his home race. And looking at the final qualifying standings, as you can see, it's a 1-2 from McLaren with Nick Heidfeld in 3rd place, and then Fernando Alonso in 4th, then both of the BAS with Jenson Button and Takuma Sato in 5th and 6th. And then both of the Ferraris actually ran out top 10. Rubens Barrichello just behind his teammate Michael Schumacher there to round off the top 8 with Ralf Schumacher in 9th and Felipe Massa in 10th. But let's jump into the race now and let's see how the German Grand Prix gets underway. So here we are on the grid. As you can see, a front row lockout for the McLarens in a pretty much somewhat their home race, a German track with the Mercedes engine in the back of their car. But we're going to gear up to the red lights here for the German Grand Prix, and we are underway in that 5th light. Took an absolute age to go up. We are finally underway here, getting a brilliant start off the line there. Michael just getting a really good start here in his home race, and there's been a huge crash there. I think Alonso collecting the cones, and he's actually collected a few cars. I'm having to go off-road here. As you can see, Michael's all over the grass. He's under attack by Jenson Button, and Button actually gets past him for the time being. But overall, 1 position gained in the start from Michael Schumacher, so a pretty good start to say he managed to dodge around that crash, because he was so close to being collected in that. And it's now a case of trying to pick off some cars here, as now Michael's picking up some brilliant slipstream on Jenson Button now, down this back straight. He's going to get past him way before the apex of the hairpin, and a fantastic move there on the British driver. But Mark actually runs in deep, he locks up both front tyres, and that's going to allow Jenson Button to re-overtake Michael Schumacher. So a terrible mistake from Michael there, and he actually lets Button back through, so terrible stuff. But hopefully Michael can settle into this race a little bit and try and find some pace, and this is when he can start picking off a couple of the cars ahead of him. And on lap 5 now, start lap 5, cutting on 5 laps into the Grand Prix, so quite a way into the Grand Prix. Michael is now getting a brilliant run on Jenson Button, and Button did some really good defensive driving, but eventually he had to just give way to Michael, because he really has some great pace around here, and he was pushing really, really hard, and eventually Michael gets to move on him on the exit of turn 1, and the exact same thing was going to happen here for Takuma Sato, as you can see, once again on the pit straight now, making our way into turn number 1, down a couple of gears for the first corner, and then Michael just got a brilliant run, and the straight line speed of the Ferrari is just going to little dummy to the left and then duck to the right hand side and go up the inside of the Japanese driver here at turn 2. So easy overtake once again for Michael Schumacher, and he's got past both of the BARs, and he can now hunt down those 3 cars ahead of him, which include both of the McLarens and the championship leader Juan Pablo Montoya, which is the man who is behind right now as we go on to lap 11. Quite far into this Grand Prix now, I've got to say. Not much really happened so far, but now it's going to get tasty. As you see, Montoya goes defensive to Michael Schumacher there, goes to the inside, and Michael's been forced to the outside of the Colombian. Is he going to go for it? No, he doesn't. He switches back on Montoya to get a much better run through turn 3 onto this back straight, and this is where Michael Schumacher's Ferrari engine is going to really come into play here, and also just a straight line speed of the Ferrari and aerodynamics on this car, and he breezes past Juan Pablo Montoya on the back straight there, like he's not even there, and he's up in the 3rd place now on the back of Nick Heidfeld. But Montoya actually went back up the inside of Schumacher here. As you can see, he actually got really good on the brakes there, decided to go for the late dive bomb move, but Michael was having absolutely none of it, and here he goes up the inside there through the little right hand kick just before the Mercedes-Benz grandstand. But Montoya once again not letting Michael go. He's going to try and go for the dive up the inside, but eventually Michael takes the racing line and Montoya has to yield and give that position back to Michael Schumacher, and that is P3 for Michael. But actually no, Montoya's going back in once again. Can he make it stick this time? No, he can't. Finally Montoya has to give way, so fantastic little battle there, almost an entire lap long between these two fierce rivals, and just great to watch and a great spectacle. And moving on lap 12, Michael's made a mistake, as you can see, through the right hand, and that's allowed Montoya back through once again there. So very unfortunate for Michael, but he's going to go around the outside. Fantastic stuff, similar to last time. Great move from the 7 times world champion on Juan Pablo Montoya. And moving later on to lap 15, only a few laps left to go now, and Michael's going to go for the lunge up the inside of turn 2, very close there. That could have ended in absolute tears, and then Heidfeld gets sideways through turn 3, which allows Michael to get right to the back of him, and he's going to pounce like an absolute panther and make the move on Heidfeld miles before the corner, just a straight line speed alone. And then the mistake of Heidfeld, which really compromised his top end speed there. So a fantastic overtake from Michael Schumacher, but then Heidfeld mounts Schumacher, the unbelievable stuff. You can see the Heidfeld just mounted Michael Schumacher, lucky enough not too much damage sustained, and Michael still has his rear wing, so that is crucial for us. But on lap 17, Michael is right on the back of some lap Minardis here, which are really holding him up, and there's been contact as Michael actually spins out Frisacker, I believe, and he's actually lost both positions to Heidfeld and Montoya once again. So horrific circumstances here as Michael loses 2 positions once again, all because of the Minardi that didn't want to get out of the way because of the blue flags. And I'm sure that Frisacker should get some sort of penalty for that, because that was a horrific crash and not something that you want to see. But moving later on now onto the last lap of the race, Michael's going to try and launch an attack on Montoya, who's trying to get past the Minardi of Albers, and he's going to go right between the two of them here and almost hit Nick Heidfeld in the braking zone, but he gets past Montoya there. Fantastic overtake on him, and can Michael possibly catch Heidfeld? It's going to be hard by the end of this race, and it's looking like he's not going to be able to catch him here as we cut on to the last part of the race here through the stadium section. Heidfeld's right there, but Michael's just not close enough. Kimi Raikkonen has come through to win the German Grand Prix, and looks like Michael Schumacher is going to come through for a podium, which is 3rd place, not too bad, and gain a couple of points in the World Championship after starting from P7 there. So overall, a fantastic race with P3 in the bag for Michael Schumacher, and considering that crash with that Minardi, and that just didn't really help Michael at all. So overall, that's probably the best he could have hoped for. And also Raikkonen was just a cut above the rest of the day. He was way too fast, and looking at the final race results, you can see that the top 3, obviously Kimi, Heidfeld and Michael Schumacher, and then Montoya's in 4th place with Takuma Sato in 5th, Rubens Barrichello there in 6th place, a good result for him and for Ferrari, and then Jason Button in 7th, and Felipe Massa rounding out the point scoring positions with Jack Villeneuve and Giancarlo Fisichella rounding off the top 10 there. So overall an interesting top 10, and looking at the driver's standings, you can see that Montoya is leading the way, 19 points clear now of Michael Schumacher, so Michael slowly closing the gap there on Montoya, with Heidfeld in 3rd place, Raikkonen all the way up to 4th place there, so fantastic for him, really getting his season back on track. And then Fisichella, Sato, Alonso, Button, Ralf Schumacher and Jarno Trulli rounding out the top 10 there. And looking at second half of the table, Massa gets his 1st point of the season, and Barrichello's getting very close to Mark Webber. And finally the constructors, you can see that McLaren are extending their lead a little bit that race because they're getting quite a fair few points. However, Renault have dropped down from 2nd or 4th, with BMW, Williams and Ferrari overtaking them. And look at that, those 3 teams are so close, especially Ferrari and Williams, 1 point in it. Absolutely fantastic stuff to see, and both championships getting really tasty now as we just get past the halfway stage of the season. But nevertheless guys, hopefully you have enjoyed the video. I'm out of breath. Hopefully you do smash a like on the video. Like I said, I really would appreciate it if you can support this series, and if you're new out here, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.